9 provinces, almost 10,000 kilometers each way. So what does it take to cross Canada on a tiny home on wheels? This summer, our friend Steve and Darlene found out.
So here they are with us, our good friends, and they're our van friends, and they actually have a Roadtrek Zion SRT, which is the shorter version of our van, and they actually took that van right across the country in Canada. So exciting, and they wanted to share some of their adventures with us. So yeah, thank you guys for being here, and we're actually camping out at Paul Lake Provincial Park right now, and yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit about your trip and what were the highlights and what was the preparation, you know, and
Yeah.
what you actually got out of the trip. So yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about planning.
Certainly. Thank you very much, you guys, for.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great opportunity, and we love to share about our adventures. Basically, the real thing that comes down to why we did it, and that really came down to it was the last province that we had to visit across Canada.
So that was traveling to Newfoundland.
Correct.
Correct.
So it's basically from one end of the country to the other.
From
Right.
Victoria, Vancouver Island, all the way to Newfoundland.
From one rock to the other.
From one island to
From
the
one
other.
island to the
Right.
other.
Not quite enough.
Yeah, from a planning perspective, we started early. That it had to be around the May-June timeframe because that was primarily the time when the most icebergs were going to come down the coast and go down through Iceberg Alley. So we kind of had a bucket list of things that we wanted to see in Newfoundland. We started early, and then one of the very first things we did was we reached out to the Newfoundland Labrador Tourism Bureau, who promptly sent us a guide and a map. Effectively filled all of our gaps about what to do in each of the regions of the province, broken down by peninsulas, coastal areas, and when and what to see and eat. So it helped us create our bucket of things to see.
And it was extremely resourceful. We used it a lot. We actually had to get a second copy. We actually wore out the first copy with the map.
Yeah.
So we referred to it every day, twice a day.
What other research or resources did you use?
We used the app iOverlander 2 predominantly throughout our whole visit. We did not pay for the subscription. We found out you just download the provinces individually, and then when you're through that province, you unload it and reload the next province. And so you do it one province at a time. And it did not disappoint. In fact, we actually got to add a couple of places during our visits to some of the provinces.
Our own Canadian experiences from, just traveling through eastern communities and provinces before, and just, the times we spent in Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, we met people from there that said, if you do come, come from away is their term, take your time, spend some time. It's not easy to get to. It's a lot bigger, and I mean a lot bigger than most people that they know, especially Canadians. We were even surprised. So do it justice. Go there, take your time. Get onto chat networks or whatever your favorite, venue and social media and so forth. There's just so much to see and do and experience.
At the end of the day, our goals were to see the icebergs, certainly, to see some puffins, their provincial bird. And one of the biggest things we wanted to do was we wanted to hike Grossmorn Mountain. And we were restricted in that the trail did not open for use until the very end of June. So we knew that we had the month of May to get across Canada, and then the month of June to visit Newfoundland, and then the month of July to come home.
So our first challenge was basically booking the ferry to get off Vancouver Island, of course, and then the Newfoundland. And truth be told, we booked it in reverse because we weren't exactly sure if Grossmorn would open on time, or the days we had allocated to do that hike, if it was going to be feasible to do that, weather permitting, trails permitting, campgrounds, we hadn't quite made those reservations yet. So booking the ferries first and then working around that, what we were going to do.
That's a long time, and you're in a 19.5-foot Roadtrek Zion SRT. What about your packing? What gear did you take?
Simple meals, and we weren't going away from home, so to speak. So we knew the grocery stores along the way. Staying within Canada, we knew what to expect pretty much going across Canada for, gasoline stops, grocery stores. So that part was really easy. We actually unpacked our van a lot, trying to, be a little bit more conservative with the gas and to lighten it up a little bit. I don't think we ever traveled with a full tank of water because, again, we knew that would be easily accessible. We didn't book that many campgrounds the time of year, and again, being from Canada and being Canadian, having living out east, we had a lot of friends and acquaintances and a lot of people that did invite us to stay in driveways and homes and
Mooch docking.
Mooch docking,
exactly.
yeah, we did a lot of mooch docking.
We did some mooch
Yeah,
docking,
yeah.
but it was really nice to be able to do that. And traveling in a van, we loved it. We loved the easeability of it. It became home really, really quickly. It performed extremely well. It exceeded our expectations.
We really like to follow the rules of three, which many people follow, and that's drive 300 miles or 500K, if you will, drive till 3 o'clock in the afternoon so that you can get settled, stopped at a campground and get settled in. We would look at how far we had to go, and our rule of thumb was around 4 to 5 hours, which sometimes turned into 8 because we would get distracted by something shiny on the side of the road, and
there's a lot to see.
And because there was so much to see, and we primarily stayed off of the Trans-Canada Highway because there was, like I say, there was so much more to see in the provinces than off of the main highway.
Tell us a little bit about the journey.
You want to start in BC?
We purposely revisited a few of our favorite places, traveling through the Coquihalla and then through Rogers Pass and Revelstoke, those areas.
Enjoying the mountains?
Yeah,
Enjoying the mountains, yeah.
Really enjoying the mountains. We were fortunate to have good weather. Down crossing the BC-Alberta border, of course, we went through Radium Hot Springs. You got to go through there. And then again, you can travel through those mountains dozens and dozens of times, and depending on the time of the year and even on a cloudy day, they are absolutely amazing and spectacular. We traveled through, BC Alberta early June, and we hadn't come into fire season yet, so it was, yeah.
It was quite striking. And then going into Alberta, our biggest attraction there was the town of Vulcan. We wanted to go and see that.
Star Trek fans, by the way.
Absolutely, 100%, and I'll be totally guilty. And
you got to throw in those kitschy fun places.
little
Why not,
kitschy
right?
fun sites were fun, and then going into Saskatchewan, it was all about visiting Grasslands National Park, which had to be one of the highlights of our trip all across Canada, both the east and west blocks. The trail systems were stunning, the sunsets, the sunrises, the overall landscapes, the wildlife was over the top for us. We spent a good 3-4 nights there. Highly recommended. Getting into Manitoba, pulling into Winnipeg, we went and visited the Museum of Human Rights. Again, recommended. Survived a severe thunderstorm there, which was a lot of fun. Going through the 3 days of traveling through Ontario, visiting great places like Pancake Bay, Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Quebec and New Brunswick. Again, we were staying with family and friends, mooch docking.
We purposely chose, our ferry to arrive there on June 1st. Just on the fluke, there would be icebergs. And again, we just got lucky. I think in years past, you could have abundance of them or none at all. We were fortunate, 3 destinations, driving through different peninsulas. We encountered icebergs for probably the first 2 weeks of June, and they were absolutely stunning, just something to see and experience, especially if you're fortunate enough like we were to see one
calve.
It
deteriorated in front of our eyes.
In front of our eyes, it was
incredible.
It was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Whoa!
We counted 18 icebergs in our time that we were there. We even chartered a tour boat out of Twillingate. They took us right out, and we actually circled around 2 huge icebergs that were 6 kilometers off the coast, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, to get out and be able to reach out and touch them like that.
Oh yeah, and whales, minke whales.
Minke whales.
Yeah, we lost count on the minke whales that we saw as well.
And humpback whales, yeah.
A few humpback whales, like, yeah, spectacular.
Yes, we saw a moose. Just the one on our...
Just one.
Just one moose.
That's right.
But that was mainly because we did not do a lot of traveling in the early mornings or the late evenings or dusk time frame. We were usually already in our campsite.
For the month of June, it's a little bit early there. You can still have cold temperatures, wind, rain, fog. But, you know, again, our van was so small and nimble, we primarily just boondocked. So my advice to people is just look at your map. Don't be afraid to get off the number 1. Go and explore. Find these little coves and bays, and you know, if you're concerned about where you want to park, just there's people everywhere. You can talk to people. A lot of people will invite you in. You know, one guy invited us in for tea in the morning. It was just crazy. Like, they're just so friendly, so outgoing. If campgrounds are your choice, they're beautiful in Newfoundland as well, and they're relatively inexpensive, and they have all amenities. They have water hookups, they have showers, they have laundry.
I would say 90% of Newfoundland are on wells. So they will tell tourists and travelers that they always will have a boil water advisory. But because we have a ultraviolet water purifier system in our van, we were not afraid to go and fill up our van with water.
Every campground in Grossmoor National Park does have a boil water advisory, so be prepared for that if you do travel there. Or a lot of the smaller communities have little huts where you can go and, you know, refill usable jugs of drinking water that's been treated. So you would have to do that or purchase your own water, I would suppose. We, like Steve said, that wasn't an issue for us.
Yeah, and iOverlander is a good source, again, that'll tell you where
you can get water,
where you can get water,
where you can source drinkable, potable water.
Yeah, because some municipalities do have water filtration plants. Yeah.
You talked about interesting weather, and it can change. I know we were texting each other when you were, I think, in Newfoundland, and we were in grasslands. So what other kind of weather did you see?
We experienced fog that even the local people were saying they were born with a snorkel in their mouth, because it's so wet, it's so damp. You literally feel like you're trying to breathe underwater, like, you know, fog that you couldn't drive in it. You couldn't see 10 feet in front of you, just so thick. And wind. We experienced wind that we thought the van was going to blow over. We had a hailstorm.
And it was hot too.
It was, and then we had some really hot days.
The month of June was very, very hot. I mean, it was in the high 20s, low 30s, where we would have to use our air conditioner. Thankfully, I had just converted our van to a 12-volt air conditioner, and we were able to use it a lot.
We were grateful for that, especially traveling through parts of Ontario and Quebec. You know, they had some. I think at that time is when the early summer heat domes were through Ontario and Quebec, and you know, 34, 38 degrees with humidity. We were really grateful for that 12-volt air conditioner.
And the local Newfoundlanders were even commenting that they hadn't seen rain for a long time, and that fires were going to start. And sure enough, in the little town of Badger, just outside of Great Falls, or Grand Falls, there was a fire there. It was not near the road, but at least the fire season was starting in June. But
traveling throughout Newfoundland is easy. You know, people say, do we need to take spare tires and gas cans and so forth? That's up to you. That would be, you know, your own comfort level. Once you're off the number 1, we can't emphasize enough on the amount of potholes. They have potholes that will swallow a Roadtrek.
The potholes are prevalent throughout all of the little towns and bays and coves. We heard a little vignette about RCMP people that are recently detached to Newfoundland. They're warned that the people are not driving drunkenly down the road, that they're actually trying to avoid the potholes. Right? So that's actually a lesson.
So maybe a spare tire if you can. Gas, we never encountered anywhere where there wasn't, you know, gas stations within. I mean, on the number 1 highway, sure, there's a lot of nothing in between these larger communities, you know, Grand Falls, Cornbrook, places like that. But there's usually a gas station out there somewhere. Even through Terra Nova National Park, there's, you know, a big gas station,
And
rest stop, restaurants, that kind of thing.
Newfoundland does not entertain gas wars. If it's $1.59 at one gas station, it's $1.59 at all the
Even
gas
in the middle of
stations.
nowhere.
Everywhere. So it's province-wide.
We
So,
appreciated that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
we didn't have to access Gas Buddy at all.
no, no, there was no need to. Yeah.
Anything that kind of just stands out, scenic detour, special
Highlights.
event that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, on the west coast, we were taken in by Gross Mourne, the Tablelands, Gross Mourne Mountain, Woody's Harbor, Rocky Harbor, all of these areas along the whole west coast, and even going up the coast towards Lansa Meadows up to the Viking village. Absolutely gorgeous.
We departed the beginning of July, and towards the end of July is when they start a lot of their festivals. So a lot of these little communities will have, you know, whatever the name of that community is, days, and they'll have ball tournaments, or they'll celebrate, you know, maybe one family had a really good year of, you know, the fishery or the lobster or something, or somebody graduated, you know, just the simplest things they just find to celebrate.
Very community orientated.
Very
extremely
community orientated,
yeah.
you know, and yeah, it was just so lovely to see. And then of course the music festivals were just starting, and you know, the kitchen parties, the shed parties, you know, a party for, I don't know, waking up that morning maybe. That's just how they are. They're just
very,
they just
very
have a
community
zest
orientated.
for life, very community orientated, and love of family and friends.
It was very refreshing. We found that there was not one single Newfoundlander that did not want to talk to us.
Absolutely.
It was like every one of them wanted to say something.
Super
it was,
friendly, and just they want
Yeah.
to know about you and your travels and where you've
Yeah.
been too.
Yeah, like, and visiting Avalon Peninsula, which is certainly one of the more visited because that's where St. John's is, and Bonavista, and then the southern peninsulas for Cape Race and Cape Spear and Cape St. Mary's. Mostly towards the northern end, all the little bays and coves are all worth visiting. And some of them, like the town of Dildo or Leading Tickles, or
Good
we.
names.
Yeah, we went to one place, or on one peninsula, I should say, that had Heart's Delight, Heart's Content, and Heart's Desire. These are all wonderful, wonderful places worth visiting. I mean, but again, we ran out of time.
Yeah, and yet you devoted 3 months.
Well, even though, but again, that five weeks in Newfoundland itself, we found was not enough.
So much to see and experience, and then of course the history. And every now and then you would just get chatting to, you know, somebody that was born and raised in these communities, and they knew the history. You know, they could tell you about a family that dated back years and that they had never met, you know, kind of a thing.
Irish communities, yeah.
And these, yeah, just the history, it was boggling. It was absolutely just incredible to witness and to see and to experience.
There was no lack of ferries in
yeah.
Newfoundland. They had their own ferry system in there. A ferry that took us to Fogo Island, which is highly recommended. As a little artist community, we went to Bell Island, which was a huge coal mine at one time before it was finally decommissioned. Again, and more ferries that will take you over to St. Pierre and Miquelon if you're so inclined.
Yeah, the northern ferry that would take you to Labrador.
Oh, we're over to Labrador, yeah.
just-
And that was, I mean, you could see Labrador across the Straits of Belle Isle, but it was very, very rewarding.
So your ultimate goal was to obviously enjoy Newfoundland.
Yeah.
You got to do that by going through many other provinces, several other provinces.
Sure, yeah.
And what province, was there any province that surprised you the most? Maybe it was Newfoundland. Maybe it was better than you expected.
For me, it would have been Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. I would say, yeah, out of all of them that really surprised us, especially on our return trip. We had already visited grasslands, but when we were coming home, we met some good friends in Winnipeg that were going east on their way to Newfoundland. And we met them, and they said that we should take the Redcoat Trail in Saskatchewan, which is Highway 13, which is a good 100 kilometers south of the Trans-Canada, but takes you straight across the bottom of the province. And we were like very, very impressed.
Tell me sort of the 3 must-do things for someone that wanted to consider a trip like you just did in an RV.
Look at using iOverlander 2. Be prepared that your biggest expense is going to be gas, and certainly engage with the people. We found people to be so friendly, so friendly.
You know, and traveling across as well through parts I guess, of Saskatchewan once we left grasslands, and even Winnipeg. You know, you get down off the number 1 and you're going through these small communities, farm communities, and you find campgrounds that are hosted by the Elk Club or the Lions. And a lot of times these campgrounds could be adjacent to a ball field, and we found, you know, local ball tournaments going on, or car shows, or, you know, these huge barbecues. And these small little communities, they just welcome you, you know, and by the time you leave, you've made friends, and you know, you feel like an honorary member almost. You know, they want to know your travels and where you've been and hear your stories. And it was really nice. You know, it made us proud to be Canadian and to rediscover home. You know, and it's a big country, especially, you know, from Vancouver Island all the way to Newfoundland. And here we are, we're walking on a trail, and we meet this young couple from Sweden, and it's their second time there, and we're almost embarrassed to say, wow, we're from Canada and this is our first visit.
Yeah, our first time
you know,
here.
Again, it's a gorgeous country, but wow, it's big, and so is Newfoundland.
Highly recommend that all Canadians go and visit Newfoundland. I wish I could be a stronger advocate. There's a lot of history there. Visit the rooms in St. John's. That's their big museum there.
And eat everything.
Eat
every
everything.
Traditional food you can find. Just eat everything.
Jig's dinner.
Diet is for another time.
Oh yeah.
The food you got to get some on you is what you have to do. Lobster,
they
the
have
cod served so many different ways. Yeah.
In terms of your camping, you did kind of mostly boondocking, mostly parks?
It was predominantly boondocking, mainly because those opportunities are there across Canada. Certainly the most opportunities for boondocking are in Newfoundland.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Traveling across Canada, it's easier to stay in the provincial and national parks. They were usually our go-tos for long, leisurely hot showers and just a nice place to camp overnight. They're readily available. You can use Harvest Host, not so much. We found out that casinos are your best friend.
A few Walmarts.
Rest stops, the occasional private campground is certainly there. The prices are fair. We would stop and use them mainly to do laundry or to have a quick shower. Not that we didn't use our shower in our van, because we do. But certainly provincial campgrounds across Canada with the occasional boondocking. But yeah, I would say the majority of our camping was mooch docking or boondocking. Yeah. 40-foot
Class A, or, you know, a 30-foot motorhome, boondocking in Newfoundland could be tricky. The roads are quite narrow, quite rutty.
It's very van friendly.
It's extreme. The van, I think the RV of choice when we were there seemed to be vans. Vans for sure. I won't say we were overwhelmed by vans, but they were certainly the RV of choice.
You know, we just want to offer our thanks for you guys sharing this adventure. I mean, it sounds so exciting. Crossing Canada, Newfoundland, I think, is pretty much going to be on anyone's list who watches this video.
Yeah.
It was just great. So thank you guys so much for sharing this adventure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We really did enjoy it.
And I would offer anybody wants to do it on a van, especially our road treks. You're going to need to do one oil change for sure. And a tire rotation, at least one tire rotation.
The practical tips.
Absolutely.
And watch out for those rocks on the windshield.
The ruts and the holes, absolutely.
And potholes.
Yeah, the potholes are going to be out there, that's for sure. And I mean, even the Newfoundlanders joke about them because they understand. Right?
It's wonderful advice. Again, it's just been so great listening to you guys share your story and the passion for your trip.
Yeah, thank you. We can't wait to do our cross-country trip one day.
Yeah, more power.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed that great adventure with Steve and Darlene. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.